nice.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another kick-ass episode of Still Toking with. Yeah, I'm me. You know me. If you don't know me by now, well, then I don't know what to say. But yeah, joining us as always, our brother from another, Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Well, don't I look glamorous? In fact, I look like I've been talking, as a matter of fact.
So sparkly tonight.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm all excited. I love doing the show, and I'm looking forward to our fascinating guest. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so looking forward to our guest. I follow her on social media. I think she's a riot. Some of the things she posts, I'm like, woo, I like that one. I'm gonna steal that, claim it for my own.
Yeah, we're gonna be having some fun tonight.
We are definitely gonna have some fun tonight. So without any further ado, well, I guess without further ado, the voice that's always in my head, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I stayed out of your head this time.
Yeah, for a change.
I don't know why.
I know. I was looking. I'm like, wow, he hasn't said anything. It's kind of scary.
No, yeah, no. I was just kind of taking the back. So you were almost going to skip right the fuck over me,
I thought about it.
I know you were.
Only because you made yourself a really cool backdrop and you gave me these ghetto ass ones. Just saying.
What? That's what you asked for. Well, learn to do it yourself then. No, it's all good. No, I came across this one today. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool, So I figured I'd throw that together for our guest, and let's just bring it right in, Patricia Patts.
Hi, everybody. How you doing today?
Good. How
Doing
are you?
fantastic.
We are wonderful.
I feel very honored to be here in your company.
Oh, I think it's the other way around. I think we're honored to have you here.
Aw, thank you. It's always fun to do one of these shows.
Right. Well,
You haven't done this one.
I haven't
Right.
done this one, but I've done a few other podcasts in the last couple of years, including my own.
I was just going to
So-
say, you have your own.
I do. It's called the Peanuts Gallery. And we discuss the psychological issues of the Peanuts characters and
boy.
how they relate to you and I today, because Charlie Brown had depression. Linus had insecurity issues. Lucy's a
Poor
narcissist.
Jeremy.
Well, I listened to too much of that. I need therapy.
No, it's what's fun. It's really a fun show. Just sort of connecting the dots of how we all have these problems, and it's one of the things that I love about Peanuts is that he really normalized depression, anxiety. Before that, nobody talked about that. And these happened right after World War II. And so there were a lot of people that were suffering from some of these things. And he just normalized it. Here was this little kid who, said things like, my anxieties have anxieties.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Well, that's why I just changed my backdrop to the padded cell.
Mine is just my office. I just put up some curtains in the back that I happen to have in the garage, and
There you go.
happen. Yeah, it's true. I set my studio up with a grand total of like $10 for a cord that I needed. I have since updated to a nicer microphone, but I had a microphone and I just it was $10 to get started, and so that's what I did.
Well, the beauty, like what we use StreamYard, and StreamYard has a free version. All you need is a cheap $5 green sheet, which is what's hanging behind me, and you have this. You can change the backdrop to whatever you want.
Exactly. I use StreamYard as well. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We've talked about peanuts. Patricia, tell our friends out there who are watching or listening what your connection to peanuts is.
Oh. I was the voice of Peppermint Patty from 1978 to 1980. I did 2 specials in a movie, You're the Greatest Charlie Brown, She's a Good Skate Charlie Brown, and Bon Voyage Charlie Brown and Don't Come Back.
Excellent. And thank you for sharing your talent. Because
Right.
there are so many people who are huge Peanuts fans out there.
I did not know that before. Well, thank you. I didn't know that before I started doing this, quite honestly. So I have a very dear friend. Her name is Jennifer Seehee, and she was the singing voice for Sailor Moon.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And Jennifer and I did Annie back in 1978.
Yeah.
we were both cast in the original Los Angeles production of the show. And so we've known each other for 50 plus years now. Um, yeah. And we were talking one day and she was like, "Oh, yeah, I go to these Comic Cons and they're so fun and they're so cool and you should do it." And I was like,
Say
nobody's,
what?
nobody's going to care about me. Like that. No, no, no. Because I'm not the only Peppermint Patty. There's actually 18 of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
I didn't
there's-
know that. Okay.
That kind of
There's-
sounds like Jason Voorhees's, right?
Right? There's 22 Charlie Browns and Lucy's, and then they all sort of go from there. So
when you did the voice,
Yeah.
were you that age or were you older playing younger?
I was 10, 11, and 12. And then once I got to 12, my voice started changing and they brought in somebody else that
Mhm.
sounded younger.
Yeah.
It was really
You-
important to him to have that innocence of kids saying the lines.
Right. But you got the right name for it.
Isn't that funny?
I was going to say.
It's a complete
know?
and utter coincidence. She
I was wondering.
She was born a year before me. And my dad gave me my name because my mom was passed out cold. And true story. In fact, so here's the story. The nurse came in for years. I'm one of 5 kids.
Yeah.
And for years, everybody would say, "Oh, if it's a boy, you should name it Patrick. If it's a girl, you should name it Patricia." And my mother was like, "I am never doing that to my kid. Not going to happen." So I'm born. Nurse comes in to say, it's a girl. What are you going to name her? And my mother said, and I quote, "Name of the whatever the hell you want to," and passed out. And my father was like, "I don't know. I guess we'll call her Patricia."
And then he slept on the couch after that.
Wow.
So yeah. The really weird thing is that I did 2 really big projects at the same time. I did Annie and
Yep.
I did
Mhm.
Peppermint Patty. And do you want to take a guess as to what my middle name is?
Don't say Annie.
Annie?
It's
Anne?
Anne, which is Annie's real name.
Right.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I wish they had given me like a string of names and I could have done some more work.
Patricia, who played Miss Hannigan in your version?
Jane Cannell.
Who was wonderful woman.
Oh,
Wonderful woman. Jane in the
so
Lucille
she won.
in the Lucille Ball Mame and on
Yes.
Broadway, she plays Agnes
Yes.
Gooch and was just one.
Yes.
She was a regular on Captain Kangaroo when I was
Mm.
growing up, and very talented lady.
Wow.
Oh, so talented and so kind and funny and rolled with the punches. When you're doing a show with kids and dogs, stuff is going to happen. And twice during curtain call, the dog peed on her.
And how many times did you?
No, I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm a good kid. She was so great about it. She starts, going, "I hate dogs," and totally in character on stage, but she's also laughing as she's doing this, and the trainer was like horrified and she's like, "Oh, it's a dog. They do these things."
And who was your daddy Warbucks?
Mhm.
My daddy Warbucks was Keen Curtis. And
Another very
Keen,
talented man.
Keen, for those who don't know him, he was on Cheers for at least a couple of seasons as the restaurant owner upstairs from Cheers,
Right.
who would come down and harass them.
Yep.
And then in one episode ended up married to Carla.
That was another good show. I remember that one.
Yeah. And he just had the most beautiful voice. His singing voice every night when he would sing Something Was Missing, it just made me cry. It was just so beautiful.
How did you get
Yeah.
cast?
I went for an open audition along with 2,000 other little girls.
Wow.
Yeah. And Jennifer and Paula, who they had been friends for years, they were in a troupe up in San Jose, and the whole group of them came down to audition together, and then the two of them got the parts, and then the other person that was in my cast was Molly Ringwald.
Oh.
She played Kate, the one with the little mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a
cast of
phenomenal.
nobodies. Nobodies were in that show.
Right.
Well,
At
there
that
were
time.
nobody's back then. Yeah.
Right. I just want to bring up something real quick. You mentioned, how he sang Something Was Missing and it brought you to tears. So in 2017, for the 40th anniversary, you were invited back and you actually were featured singing that.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
That was a lot of fun. And the guy who hosted that, Les, we became Facebook friends, and so we chat often, and he's a fantastic guy. But Inside Edition flew us out to New York and put us up in a hotel. My daughter was still young then, so she came with me. And we got to see some Broadway plays and hang out in New York and see some people we knew, and it was a lot of fun.
Did you ever get to meet or work with Charlie Strauss, the man who wrote the music of it?
Oh yes, yeah. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he was the first person that I auditioned for. And the story came out later. So for people who don't know how these auditions go, you walk in and you're allowed to sing 8 bars of music, which is usually going to bring you up to the chorus. You can ask to sing the chorus, or you can ask to sing the last 8 bars or whatever, but that's usually all they give you. So my sister was there. She's 6 years older than me. She goes in and they let her sing her entire song.
Wow.
And everybody was like, wait a minute, that's not fair. That's not fair. And so she comes out. She's like, Mom, they let me sing the whole song. Mom's like, that's great. So I walk in after her and they let me sing my whole song. And I walk out and he walks out after me. And I found out later that he went to find a payphone. They were these odd things that you could just find, random places where you would put money in them.
Wow.
And you could call people.
I know.
It was the weirdest thing. So he called Martin in New York and said,
Martin Charnin,
I
who wrote
got
the
her.
lyrics. Yeah.
Martin Charnin. He said, I got her. And he said, no, you've been at it for like an hour. He goes, I know, but wait till you meet her. I got her.
Wonderful.
But I didn't find out that for months. So I still went through all the auditions and the callbacks and the callbacks and the callbacks. And I actually had a private audition with Martin Charnin and Milton Green, who was our musical director, at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion on their main stage. And wow, I never tell these stories. Nobody ever asks about Annie.
Welcome to our show.
I know, this is great. And so it was the first time that I had sung a song from the show. And I sang Maybe, which to this day is still of the two songs that Annie sings, Maybe is my favorite. It's so full of hope and longing, all
Yes.
mixed into one. And I finished the song, and he called me over and he said, sit on my lap. And he leaned me over and he goes, where did you come from? Where have you been all my life? And I
Sounds like
sat up
Charlie.
and I said, this was Martin Charnin.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Martin said this. That's okay. And I said, where did I come from? My mother's tummy. And where have I been all your life? Stuck in school. And he just laid his head back and roared with laughter. So that was my second to last interview. And then the last one was with all the girls. And he kept saying, okay, Patricia, stand over there. Okay, now you go stand behind Patricia. You stand behind Patricia. You stand. And he didn't know any of the other girls' names. He would just say you, but he knew my name. And the final group of girls that was standing behind me were the ones that got the part. And he asked me that evening if I would be his Annie.
That's just wonderful. That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You and I have this child actor thing in common because I got started very, very young also.
Yeah.
Hey, I acted up a lot as a kid too.
Yeah, totally different. Being an asshole is not the same as an actor.
Yes. Yes.
You said it's over 18.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm saying yes because you just put him right there.
Hey, that was awesome. That was a nice setup right there.
No, Patricia, you were in such good hands. I got to know Charlie working on Bring Back Birdie on Broadway and seeing that process because we had a lot of troubles with that show. It was not the hit Annie was. But the show, Annie just seems to go on and on. Every 7 or 8 years, they do a new movie with new people and new ethnicities, and they take it in a different direction. And
Yeah. I think it's such a timeless story.
Right. I was going to say, it's one of those things that it just never dies out.
Yeah.
It's like the Peanuts. They will never die out.
Yeah, I agree.
And Patricia, if you'd like to have yourself, not exactly a laugh, but you go, what is this? And it's available on YouTube. Look up the Sesame Street Christmas special. And Ethel Merman comes on and sings Tomorrow. And you know what? She was brilliant.
She was brilliant. Here's a funny story about Ethel Merman.
Please.
Sort of. So we got to do all kinds of crazy things as kids doing Annie. We played these baseball games with the cast of Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley and the Brady Bunch and crazy.
Right.
So somehow we got tickets to go see Happy Days. And when we got there, there's a warm-up guy and he comes out and he's like, and the cast of Annie is here today. Patricia, please stand up. And, so we wave at everybody in the audience, and the audience is 100 people maybe. Well, the show was the introduction of Mork from Ork with Robin Williams.
Awesome.
I have never seen a grown man lose his shit as much as Ron Howard did, standing next to Robin Williams. He, at one point, he was leaned over, holding his stomach, going, "Oh my God, make him stop. I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this." And at one point, because you know how Robin was like, blah, 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 blah. And then he stops mid-sentence and he walks towards the audience and he starts going, "Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love ya, tomorrow," like he's Ethel Merman. And I mean, just the whole audience went crazy. I hope that they never got rid of all of those tapes. And I would like to think that somewhere in an archive somewhere is him doing that, because it was so funny.
Wow.
But I did not know that Ethel Merman had sung, which totally explains why he did that.
He did the impression before she actually sang the song.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
So they got the idea from Robin.
I wrote a biography of Ethel Merman. Trust me. And
Wow.
they brought her the special. I won't take any time away from you. Imogen
That's
Coca,
fine.
Imogen Coca, Ethel Merman, and Michael Jackson are the guest stars. Okay, which tells you how disconnected this special was. One
What
from the
year
next.
was it?
1979. And Mork was already on television by that point.
Mork was already on television.
Yeah,
You're
no,
right.
Trust me. So they brought Ethel out and wearing nothing glamorous, this just overcoat and a scarf, because they're all supposed to be outside and it's cold. It's winter on Sesame Street. And the plot has them all complaining and, "You've all lost heart. You got to do what Ethel does. The sun will come out tomorrow." But not, she did it for real. It wasn't, she took it seriously, and they arranged the song in her style. And so it worked. She wasn't working against her style. And it was, and because of that, I think she was in great voice. There wasn't that wobble. She had all these long notes and, not like Andrea did it, not like you did it, her way.
Yeah.
And it was just look it up, folks.
Wow.
YouTube it, you'll find it.
Oh, wow.
I
So,
will.
Patricia, what's your version of that?
My version
What's
of
your
what?
version of that? I want to hear the Mandela effect going on here. How did you see it?
How did I see what?
The song
I'm
Tomorrow.
confused.
The
Oh,
song Tomorrow. Yeah. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Let me rephrase his question. This is a good question once everybody swallows. A sentence I've said way too often in my life.
Whoa.
Did they require you, Patricia, in playing Annie? Did they require you in your vocal quality to sound as much like Andrea as possible, or did they give you room to be Patricia?
No. So first off, I had never heard the music. I never saw the show. In fact, I didn't see the show until I was in my 20s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I lived in California. I was nowhere near New York. We had 5 kids. We didn't have the money to take a bunch of kids to New York to see a Broadway play. And I didn't know the music until my audition with Martin was coming up. And I listened to both Tomorrow and Maybe. And I said, I want to do Maybe.
Good for you.
Now, I had been at the audition, so I had heard the first 8 bars 2,000 times. Because literally, like, if anybody's watching this that likes to audition, don't audition with the show tunes. Just don't. Like, they hear it 10 million times. Unless they ask you to sing a song from the show, just don't. Okay. So I knew the songs from that audition. And that was kind of part of my reasoning for not wanting to do tomorrow, because I literally sat there for hours listening to every little girl come in and sing that song. Why would they want to hear it again?
Right.
So, and now I don't remember what your question was.
That's a good thing then.
Wonderful.
So you actually
Wait for your laugh. Wait for your laugh. Hang on.
So Annie, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
You were also cast, if I'm not mistaken, in your Wikipedia stuff is right.
Yes.
In the Little Rascals.
Yeah. So that was one of the first big. I'd done a couple of commercials, and then I went into
Mama Celeste Pizza.
Right. Papa Dunza. I went in to audition for that as Darla. And my dad would tell the story later of hearing like 6 grown adults in the room just laughing their asses off at whatever I was doing and saying. And he couldn't hear me. He could just hear them laughing hysterically. So when I came out, they were like, she's adorable, but she is so not Darla. Because, Darla's, oh, alfalfa, right? And that just was not me. So they came up with a character named Rocky for me. I remember being on set. I think I was 8. At one point they called up and they were like, hey, we needed to find out something. Can you sing? And I was like, sure. And they're like, no, can you like sing? And I said, yes. But I mean, like, really, like, are you good? I was like, yes. So they wanted me to sing Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine. Never understood a single word he said, but I helped him drink his wine. And the whole set stopped. There was all this stuff going on, they're building stuff, and I got done with the song and I turn around and everybody's standing there going, because I didn't have a little kid sounding voice,
Right. And Patricia storms off and says, I told you so.
Well, I mean,
you thought I was kidding.
I told you I could sing.
So it was really funny when I was doing all the IMDb stuff, and I put that in. It was really funny to me to see that they had taken some of the episodes and made it into that movie. I've never watched it. I don't know if I'm in it or not in it.
No, I get it. I hate watching myself. I never look at anything I've done or listen to tapes or anything.
That's not what you said last week. You said you had mirrors everywhere.
Well, that was on the ceiling. It was a different conversation.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
yeah. And that's not necessarily watching himself.
Yeah, right. Sometimes.
Oh, I just flashed it. I disappeared.
Although the finish line was amazing. We all have our
You didn't,
talents.
What
you
have
didn't
we
think I was
done?
going to come on and be like this, did you?
No, but I'm glad
I
it
wasn't
is.
sure. But like I said, I do follow you on social media. And speaking of, folks, for everybody watching or listening to this later on, make sure you check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you are watching or listening, because you can find out all the information you need to know about this amazing guest. It's
Oh,
there.
thank you.
Okay.
We've been dancing around the peanut stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet Charles Schultz?
I did. He was there for my tapings, for most of them. There was some that happened after I moved back to Los Angeles. He was not there for those. But all the others, as I recall it, he was there for. I have some really great pictures with him. But then additionally, I was traveling to San Francisco with a friend, and somebody got a hold of him, and he let me come over to his house, and he brought me in his office, and he showed me what he was working on that day, and then we took a ride around Santa Rosa, and took me to his ice skating rink. That's what he referred to it as. And got me a hot chocolate at the Snoopy Cafe, and sat upstairs and told me the story of why he built the ice skating rink. According to what he told me, which doesn't really match up with the Schultz biography, which I thought was interesting. He said my daughter kept asking me to build an ice skating rink for her. The local ice skating rink had shut down for safety purposes, and so she was having to travel to San Francisco for ice time. And she kept saying, "Can't we just build one in the backyard?" And he was like, "No, I'm not building you an ice skating rink in the backyard." And he said one day he was out driving around, and all the kids in town, it was like a Friday or Saturday night, and they were all hanging out in the parking lot of the local grocery store. And he was like, "You know what? There's nothing fun for kids to do around here." At the time, there was no movie theater. Um, it was just a tiny little sleepy town, you know? And he said, I went home and I said, "Honey, we're building an ice skating rink, but it's going to be public." And so that's how it came to be. And his I think it was his first wife was the one who designed it and built it basically. But they spent all their free time there.
Well, no wonder the
And
first Charlie Brown Christmas special has them all ice skating. There you go.
well, Sparky, which Charles Schultz told everybody that was his friend to call him Sparky. So when I use that name, you'll now know. So Sparky grew up in Minnesota and played hockey and skated his whole life, and was part of a hockey league when the old ice skating rink was still there. So it was something he did his entire life and was still doing it in like his 70s and 80s, was still part of a team. So yeah, he loved being on the ice, and he loved the ice skating rink, and he told me that they had this wood carver make the price sign that was up there, and they didn't think about the fact that they might want to change the prices at some point, and they didn't want to get rid of the hand carved sign, so it was still just 10 cents to get a cup of hot cocoa in Snoopy's Cafe
Very cool.
years
Very
later.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, is it still there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's actually, once he passed away, they started building the museum right next door. So it's
Oh.
all one big facility. And then there's also a little gift shop that's on the property.
Okay.
And they do all kinds of cool things there. They have drawing classes. They hold all sorts of parties, and they really have a full schedule of
Wow.
what all they
Good.
do.
Nice.
Um,
Is hot chocolate still 10 cents?
I don't know. The last time I went, I just went to the museum. I didn't go inside the ice skating rink. Um, and I had such a weird experience at the museum. I'd been walking through and watching everything, and they have videos up of him and Bill Melendez and Lee Mendelson, who was our producer. And I come around this corner, and I burst into tears. And the guard that's standing there goes, "Miss, are you okay?" And I said, "They recreated his office." And he goes, "Yes, ma'am." And I said, "They took the panels off the walls and put them here." And he goes, "How did you know that?" And I said, "Well, I was in his office." And he goes, "You were in his office? Nobody was allowed in his office. His wife wasn't allowed in his office. How did you go in his office?" But they had literally, after he passed away, they photographed everything on his desk and everything in the room. They deconstructed the entire room and brought it over to the newly built museum and
Wow.
put it up. Yeah.
Patricia, when Mr. Schultz showed you his office, did you
Yes.
notice something a little different about how he worked as opposed to most cartoonists and animators?
Probably not, because I'm not a cartoonist or an animator.
He did
And
all
it
of those.
wouldn't.
He did all of those Peanuts panels standing up.
Mhm.
He drew standing up. He
Oh.
didn't sit down.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it wasn't something that stood out to me, but yes, his
Well, that's my
desk.
job, to show things up that don't stand out to people. And I
His
have a
desk was high.
peppermint
and
patty
yeah.
question for you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people. Not I'm being serious. I'm not joking about this. There
Okay.
are a lot of people who felt that the character of Peppermint Patty and her little friend who called her Sir inferred that perhaps Peppermint Patty might have been a lesbian. Did you feel that's where the script was, or was it ever discussed with you? Or what as Patricia, how do you feel about, does it bother you that people think that?
It doesn't bother me at all. Sparky was very clear that she was not gay.
Okay.
She was a tomboy.
Tomboy. Yep.
Mhm.
So if you ever get the chance to read the Shell's biography, it's very interesting, because literally every character in it, every Peanuts character, is someone he knew.
Gotcha.
Down to, so growing up, he had a beagle named Spike. And on his mother's deathbed, when he came home to see her the last time, Spike was sitting on the bed next to her, and she was petting him. And that was never allowed. Spike had not been allowed on the furniture growing up. And one of the last things that she said to him was, "You know, Sparky, if we ever have another dog, we should name it Snoopy."
Wow.
And that's where the name came from.
Thank you.
His wife, his first wife, was Lucy. And Charlie Brown was actually a guy he worked with. And everybody called him good old Charlie Brown. And right before the comic came out, he pulled him aside and said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know this is what I've named my character, and I hope you don't mind." And at first, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's great, thanks." And then once he started reading it, apparently he was not happy about it. That he was this hapless little kid. But there's tons of connections to his real life in the stories. Peppermint Patty came about because he had a cousin who was a tomboy. She wore shorts and Birkenstocks, and apparently they were having a conversation one day, and she said, "There's nobody like me in media." And he said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Oh, it's 1966. Women wore skirts. I Dream of Jeannie was the number one show on television." "Yes, master." Um, and she was like, "Nobody looks like me. Nobody sounds like me. Girls don't like sports, and there's nobody in media like me." And he said, "Well, there will be now." And so
Oh.
that's how this particular character came about. So he was always very clear that she was not gay. When asked about Marcy, apparently he would go, "Huh?"
Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Peppermint Patty have a crush on Charlie Brown?
She did have a crush on Chuck.
On Chuck, yeah.
Chuck.
Yes.
Chuck. Yes.
Yes, it's Chuck.
Right.
And in Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown and Don't Come Back, she also has a crush on Pierre, which Marcy has a crush on Pierre. And at the end of the movie, before they're leaving, Marcy and Pierre are staring into each other's eyes lovingly, and Peppermint Patty is off on the side going, "Yeah, that poor Pierre, I think he's really stuck on me, Marcy. It's going to be hard for him to lose me, Marcy." And she's like, "Yes, sir."
I remember those lines.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's kind of up in the air. I think,
I ask because it's
Yeah.
easy to make assumptions, and I'm a gay man, et cetera, but I don't like
No.
to assume. I don't like to. Why I oughta.
Oh, cat get your tongue?
I don't like to make assumptions and state them as fact, because I've been asked about this. Isn't it true that Peppermint is like, well, I don't know. I never saw her have sex, but it could be inferred by Marcy calling her sir. And I think it's good.
I always saw Tomboy. I always saw
Okay.
Tomboy.
I never even really caught that part, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember Marcy saying "sir," but I
Yeah.
distinctly remember that at one point she had a crush on Chuck. So
Yeah.
The only thing I know for
Always.
sure is that
yeah,
Lucy
Always had a
was the
crush on
bitch.
Chuck.
Lucy was the bitch.
All right. I think it's important that we tell the truth about these things and not
Right.
infer things not meant. So thank you, Patricia, for clearing up the air. Now
You're
when other
welcome.
people tell me that, I can say, no, I got it from the
Right.
source. Not true.
But it's funny because there are so many lesbians who come up to me at shows and say how life-changing this character was.
Yeah.
Because they didn't see anybody else like them. The first show that I went to, there was a woman there. She was there with her wife, and she was in cosplay. She was green shirt, shorts, Birkenstocks. And she was having a really hard time coming up to the table. And finally, her wife came up and put her hand on the back of her and kind of pushed her forward. And she said, "She's so excited to meet you. And she's just having a really hard time with this." And she started telling me how this character literally saved her life. To have somebody that she could relate to when she felt so out of place in her little town where nobody else acted like her, nobody else dressed like her. All the girls were supposed to be girly, and she just wasn't and didn't understand it. And it wasn't a sexual thing.
Not at that
It
age.
was not, no. It was something inside of you. Like, I've always known that I am straight. Did I know what being straight was? No, I had no idea, but I knew I liked boys. Right? And it's
Right.
only older that you start to learn that, oh, some girls don't like boys. Oh, some boys don't like girls. But I knew at 4 years old, 5 years old, that I liked boys. And so to have someone in media that looks like you, that acts like you, that normalizes you,
Behavior. Yes.
your behavior, normalizes that is so important. And it's part of the reason why Franklin was also introduced. And he really wanted to normalize blacks and whites being friends.
Mhm.
And
he got huge pushback over that.
huge. But he had the power with what he did and who he was to push back even harder and say, nuh-uh, you're going to do it the way that I draw it, or I pull it, because I can do that.
Yep.
I don't need your money. You need my comic strip.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's just so much of this show that I'm so proud to be a part of, in just so many ways. And I think it continues to be just as relevant today as it was 75 years ago when he started.
Wow,
I
75
wish,
years, amazing.
right? I wish more little kids knew about it. I wish they would continue to put these characters forward. I think Apple has helped. I know a lot of people are very mad about the fact that it's on Apple, but there's a lot of people who now sit their kids in front of Apple TV and say, you can watch Charlie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Charlie Brown's definitely better than SpongeBob SquarePants.
Right? All they do is scream on that show.
Right?
Like, they're all mean to each other. I mean, at least on Charlie Brown, it's just Lucy.
I'm going to segue. I want to segue you to because you said you were at an event and this girl was trying to come up to you. You do have events coming up, correct? You're doing appearances.
I do. Let me grab my handy dandy cheat sheet over here. So I'm actually going mid-March. I'm in Canada. I'll be in Owen Sound and Bolton.
Wow.
They do their shows a little differently. They do one day in one town, and then they pull the whole thing over and do a different town the next day. And I haven't been to Canada in years and years and years. I think I was 19 the last time I was there.
Wow.
That was a while ago. We won't say how long. And then I'm going to the Wah 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 show in Salem, Oregon.
Say that 3 times fast.
So, for those of you that don't follow me on social media, my ad for them, they always ask us to do these little videos where we say we're coming to their show. And my ad for them I do this whole skit where I can't say the name of the show. And I can say that it's in Salem, Oregon, and I can say that it's April 5th and 6th, but I can't say the name of the show because I've been adulting too much.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
It's a funny little thing. So the name of the show is actually Mid Valley Comic Con. And then I'm in Erie Con, which is in Ohio, Erie, Ohio, April 26th and 27th. Then I'll be at Rocket Town in Lompoc, California, May 3rd and 4th. And I'll just, if you're that interested in what I'm doing after that, come onto my website because I talk about all this stuff. Lompoc is going to be really fun because it's Brad Keston, a Charlie Brown, Melanie Cohen, a Lucy, Stacy, Heather I'm going to say it wrong, Talbert,
Albert, yeah.
was Sally, and Jeremy Miller, who was a Linus.
Yep.
Mhm.
And he was also Ben Seaver in
Yep.
Growing Pains.
Good friend of mine.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, he's a friend of all of us.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, that's
Yeah.
I've heard.
That's
he's
why I
fantastic.
referenced the whole Jeremy thing earlier in the beginning of the show for you still watching.
Yeah.
So funny story. So we've known Jeremy off and on for what, about 3 or 4 years now, Jeff?
Yeah, it's about 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
He was running an audio podcast that we brought to the network.
Okay.
So he was running through our network, and he did a show here. Jeff and I are from the Boston, Mass area.
Oh.
And we do a lot of comic book conventions because outside of this, we are writers and comic book creators and voice in our own anime and stuff.
Yeah.
We went to a store right at the end of the street to get a coffee, and I turned over my shoulder and I said, "That looks like Jeremy coming across the street." And it was. He comes trotting across the street in his trench coat, and because he's cold. We're in New England.
Right.
I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, "Oh," and we start talking. Then he leaves and he's walking. So I drive over and I go, "Do you want to ride?" He's
Yeah, it
like,
was a long way up to the hotel.
yeah, it was a long walk back to the hotel. And
Okay.
he goes, "Yes, please." So we bring him back to the hotel. He gets out, and Joni goes, "Who the hell are you with? Like, whose car did you just get out of?" And a stranger, and he's like, "Oh no, this is," and she's like, "Oh," it was like his face. He was like, "No." It was really funny.
Well, if you remember, we had to clear some stuff off the back seat so we could get in. And he tried to climb into the passenger seat. And I said, "Oh, no. You're in the back seat, pal. This is my chair."
And I've known Jeremy and Joni for like almost 20 years.
Oh,
So-
wow. Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to this Lompoc show and getting to hang with all of my Peanuts peeps.
How far
I
is
think it's gonna
Lompoc from
be-
Los Angeles? Do you know?
It's a couple of hours. It's about 40 minutes from Santa Barbara.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you commit a crime, you can get there pretty quick. Oh, wait, that's the prison. Never mind.
That's prison.
No, I was
So,
asking because
yeah,
I'm in
so
Palm
my-
Springs, and I wanted to see if I could make it there or not.
Oh, gotcha.
It's
Gotcha.
a little too
Yes.
far away.
That would be a drive. They do have an airport nearby if you wanted to take a little.
Wait. Did you just say
commuter.
2 hours is a long drive?
No, it would be longer than 2 hours.
Okay.
It'd be
How
2
many?
hours from Los Angeles to get there.
Okay.
Almost
So how
Yeah.
long for you? 3, 4?
4
Prob-
hours.
Probably 4.
Jeff, 4 hours is a long
You,
drive.
you got glitter? Teleport.
I bring that up because we do a lot of conventions ourselves, like I said. And August 2 years ago, we did 6,000 miles in our vehicle,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
all the way down the East Coast. I think we went from
Yeah.
New Hampshire to Vermont to Maryland, back to Mass, to Virginia, to Georgia.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, but I mean,
Anyway, you're booked in a lot of wonderful places. That's the
Right.
point.
I
That's the point.
I
Yes, get out
am,
and see it.
and yet I still need more because I'm greedy.
And
that
I
way.
was just going to say that. I was going to say, so to all our good friends that are promoters out there, you know who you are because you watch the show religiously. And if you don't, you go back and watch it later. You all do pop and horror cons.
Yep.
Yep.
I
Where are
did.
you, just for them real quick, where are you located?
So I'm in Nashville. I am
Not
just
that
south
not
of
that
Nashville.
expensive. It's not that expensive.
It's
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because it's like I'm 4 hours flight to anywhere in the United States.
Mhm.
And actually, not to
And I'll
interrupt you,
drive
Patricia,
if it's,
Yeah.
within a 4 to 6 hour drive would probably be the farthest that I'd be willing to drive. But
So if they
But
are
it,
interested in you, wait a minute, 1 second, Jeffrey.
I got something.
They have to reach out to your agent. So and how do they get a hold of her?
so I have a fake agent. It's so I was really struggling to get shows. I was sending out these, very nice formal letters. Hello, my name is Patricia Patts, and I was the voice of Peppermint Patty, and I would love to attend your charming little Comic-Con. And I got nothing back. Nothing for months and months and months. And so one day I was really frustrated and I put on my Facebook account, I'm done adulting. I just want Comic Cons to reach out and book me. Is that so wrong?
I remember that.
And I booked 2 shows from that comment. And somebody came on and said, well, sometimes they only like using agents. And so my next post was, apparently they like using agents. So I've made one up. Her name is Stella. She's from New Jersey and she's a heavy smoker. And I got 2 more shows. And I had a friend of mine, no idea why, she had this Halloween wig that her dog had found in her closet, and she brought it over to my house and was like, let the dogs play with it. And I had picked it up out of the backyard and put it in a box, and I was like, I have that wig and I have my mom's old house coats. And so I put it on and did Stella. And I got such a great reaction from Stella the agent. And she can't remember anything. I got this client. She's great. She's in that show with the round-faced boy. I don't remember his name. What? Oh, that's Earl, my husband. What? Oh, Patricia Patts. That's her name. She's great. She's great. And I have now booked 15 shows.
Bravo.
Since the middle of October. And my letters now are just my funny, quirky self. And I'm like, hey, I understand some places want to work with an agent. So I made one up. Here's a video of her. Like, I'm very clear of who and what she is. And I just, I posted today that I have imposter syndrome sometimes. And I sit there and think, well, why would they want to bring me in? I'm not famous. I'm not like, of course they wouldn't want to bring me in. But I do have moments where I'm funny and I love people and I love Comic-Cons. I just think they are the most wholesome American thing that anybody could do. I love the cosplayers. I love the vendors. I love the atmosphere. I love the community. It's
Agreed.
I tell people all the time it's Mayberry in cosplay, which apparently people don't know what Mayberry is. But it's your typical small town America. Everybody knows everybody in the con world. And if you're an asshole, people figure it out pretty quick.
Yep.
And if you're not, they figure it out pretty quick. So yeah, I love meeting the fans. I get more hugs in a weekend than I do all the rest of the month. And I just think I think everybody should go, except if everybody goes, then it's going to be crowded and won't be as fun. But
Well, I was going to ask, didn't you do a part in a horror movie as well?
I did. I did a horror movie. It's a slasher movie.
Yeah,
from
it was a
1988.
slasher.
It stars Leif Garrett, Richard
Mhm.
Hatch, Richard Roundtree, Sean Weatherly, who was in Baywatch at the time. Just this amazing cast. And it was one of those, 80s slasher movies that went straight to video. Wasn't even DVDs yet. And I hadn't really thought about that movie in a really long time. And I was at one of my earlier shows, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, you're in my wife and My's favorite movie of all time." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, we quote it more than any other movie of any time." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great. Which one?" And he goes, "Party Line." I was just like, "What?" Like, I didn't even know that anybody knew about that movie. And he told me that
I do.
well, you do. He told me that Vinegar Syndrome had released it on DVD, and this company, their sole purpose is to save these movies that went straight to video back in the 80s. And they made 8,000 copies, and they are completely sold out, and I can't get any more copies.
Well, have you ever seen it?
I have, and actually you can find it on Tubi.
Yep.
There you go.
For free.
That's how Jeff knew about it.
Ah,
No, seriously, he's
I'm a horror nut.
are ya? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
well,
The
he's a
people
nut.
who love it. I dream too much, so I can't watch it. I can't read it. I can't, like, I have watched Party Line. I think it's kind of tame, as far as, it's not bloody and gory, and
Mhm.
there's not a whole lot of somebody jumping out and scaring the crap out of you. So I could watch that, but a lot of the horror stuff I just can't watch. And what's
Yeah.
funny is I would love to do another horror movie. I think that would be great fun. I'm just not sure I'd be able to watch it.
True that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but
Well, I mean, I brought that up for a reason, because
Yeah.
if Billy's watching, you fit everything.
well, that yeah.
Because he runs a pop and horror con.
Oh, okay. Billy
Middlestat.
Billy Middlestat from
Middlestat. Okay. Yeah, I know
yeah.
that name.
Yeah, he runs the Tidewater Horror Convention,
Yeah.
Georgia Pop and Horror Con, and Maryland Pop and Horror Con.
Yep.
Good friend
Okay.
of ours.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Actually, he's more like family.
Oh, nice.
I've never made a horror film.
Family.
I've made a horrible film, but I've never made a horror film.
Yeah, but
No, you do that every time you're on this show.
porn doesn't count.
No, that's not true. I've had fun on
Try.
the show.
Try and find Fighting Mad, Try and find
I
Fighting
actually-
Mad with Peter Fonda. You can't even find it.
Fighting Mad with Peter Fonda. Okay.
So
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
I've never
I'm
seen
sure.
it. Peter's
Never?
Peter, may he rest in peace. Peter never saw it.
Yeah. Oh.
it's on the editing room floor still.
Okay.
It opened in Times Square on a Wednesday, and I'm not joking. I went to see it Saturday matinee. It was gone already. That's how bad it was.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Great
Yikes.
for me, yeah.
Right. Right. I actually have a funny connection to Boston. So my parents grew up there in Quincy, Mass.
Okay.
That my mother went to the Cape every summer with her family. They would rent a house out on the Cape, and all the kids and the moms would go out, and the husbands would join them on the weekends. And my great uncle on my grandfather's side was Morris Tobin. So when you get off at the airport and you go over the big bridge,
The Tobin Bridge.
that is the Tobin Bridge, named
Mhm.
after my great uncle, Morris Tobin.
Wow.
Right?
Small
And
world.
I
'Cause-
know. I keep trying to get out that way to a show because I have tons of family up there.
Wow.
Yeah. On my dad's side, his oldest brother had 7 boys, and they all have kids, and I think they're on great grandkids now.
Wow.
I had a child much later in life. I was in my late mid-30s when I had my daughter, so no grandkids, probably never will. That's fine. But yeah, so I keep trying to make my way up that way so I can
Plenty of
see
shows that are
Homestead.
out here too.
There
Yeah,
are
Oh, yeah.
plenty of them out there.
great shows out there, but you know, the more I talk to the show owners that I'm friends with, the more I know they're getting 100 requests a day from people, and uh, I really think the strike made a difference. I think we're seeing actors showing up at shows that have never gone before the
Mhm.
strike, and I think most of them probably looked down at the shows. And then they showed up and made $20,000 and went, "Oh, eh, this isn't so bad.
Yeah.
I might want to do more of these." And so I think we're seeing a different level of actors showing up at especially the big shows.
The big
Um,
shows are like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Jeff and I try. We do a couple of big ones, but we try to keep it to the smaller shows
yeah,
because, like you said, we get to meet people such as yourself and people not the Chevy Chases of the world, as you want to put it.
right,
You know.
right. And yeah, so I think it's probably a little harder to get into a show for, I'm not famous. I have an iconic character, and the Peanuts fans are really, really strong, and they show up, and I do really well financially at the shows.
Yeah.
Right? Yay! But I think, sometimes if they're not necessarily a Peanuts fan, it's hard to break through the noise. So,
Well, this show can help break through the noise.
well, that's fantastic. That is not why I came on the show.
No.
Why
But
not?
if it helps, I mean, I'll take
Absolutely.
it.
You know. I mean,
As long as it doesn't hurt.
Hey, you're getting a still token bump. It's good for you.
Woohoo!
you kidding? She's going to get an IMDb credit for this.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
A new
Yeah.
credit.
Yeah.
I'm-
This is
I'm-
our sixth season.
Right? You
So-
guys are You guys are killing it.
270 episodes.
Wow.
You know,
I'm having a hard time getting past 13. So
we did this. We did the same thing. You know, it was like we were going to do one show, literally. Jeff didn't even want to do the show, and I pulled the heartstrings. So we're very close friends with Philo Barnhart.
okay.
Who he created the Little Mermaid for Disney. He was also a
Yeah.
second generation Disney legend, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
it was the 30th anniversary for Mermaid and the 40th for Star Trek, which he also worked on for.
Oh, okay.
Was I don't know if he was at Disney at that point, but he worked on that. He was, you know, an illustrator for Hanna-Barbera. And I said to Jeff, I said, we gotta do a show like this just so people know who this guy is and what he's done. And then COVID hit. And we knew just from being creators ourselves, we made connections and we called people and, hey, come on the show. And here we are 6 years later interviewing all kinds of amazing people.
Yeah. Oh, I watched on your intro some of the, and I kept going, oh, I know him. Oh, I know her. Oh,
yeah.
I need to call him.
Yeah, and all the people you saw in the intro were from last season.
Oh, gotcha.
So next season we'll make a new intro. There'll be new people. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you'll make the cut. Maybe you won't.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
We'll see.
no, maybe not. It'd be okay. I'd understand. I mean,
we us redheads have to stick together, baby.
You know, what I'll do is I'll have Leo take Jeremy Miller, who was actually on a couple seasons ago, and have him come up and Patricia can morph through him.
Okay.
But
who do I need to slip $100 to make sure that I'm on it next season?
No. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I got nothing to do with that. That's these two.
But in all seriousness,
take $100 from me.
No, I would never do that.
Wow. No, Jeffrey. Jeffrey was saying to send the money to him.
Well, that's because he needs more sparkle.
Well,
sequins are expensive. Yes.
Yeah, I think each one of those is $100.
So 3 days
He'll take any money off somebody on the street.
3 days ago, I spent $300 on hair
gas
and nails.
Oh, I thought you were going to say on car gas.
Now, 220 of that was for my dog's hair, but still,
yada. Are you
beautiful? I have a Pomeranian. Wow. Her name is Charlie Brown.
$220. It's a little dog.
I know.
Yeah, but it's a hairy little dog that needs grooming.
It's a hairy little dog that needs grooming. So I actually have somebody that comes to the house. I'm just bougie that way. And they actually did both of my dogs for that amount. But yeah, it's crazy. So, you know, I understand the need for more sparkle. And I did get my own nails done.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. But we are way past time, which is fine. We're good with that. But I know Jeff down in the corner is probably getting hungry.
Yeah.
So what time is it? I think I fed the dogs.
It's
actually
it's about 25 past 8 here. So,
yeah, it's 7:25 here.
Yeah, you guys are an hour.
And it's
I don't think I fed the dogs yet.
Right.
Which is why you're hearing them have a meltdown outside the door.
So with that, we'll wrap this up real quick here. Jeff, any last questions for our guest?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to my standard. Obviously, I know you like dogs because you own 2 dogs. Okay. What do you put on your pizza?
So it depends on whether I'm feeling like I should be healthy or not. If I'm not feeling healthy, it's pepperoni and mushrooms. If I am feeling healthy, then it's a veggie pizza.
Okay, I don't know what the difference is. They're all still covered with cheese.
They are all still covered with cheese. One has a whole lot less calories than the. That's the difference.
Oh, okay. So the veggies have less calories than the
Than the
pepperoni.
pepperoni. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've never heard of
Remember,
anybody
this is
having a
Nashville
heart attack.
pizza.
Nashville pizza. Oh, if it were Nashville pizza, it'd probably have hot chicken on it,
Yep.
Yeah,
which
this is
I'm
not-
allergic to. So I've never had.
Not Boston pizza. This is Tennessee pizza.
Tennessee
different.
pizza would be hot chicken. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, it'd be hot when it came out of the oven, I would hope, but
Well, no, like so we have these hot chicken places here. It started with a company called Prince's. And the story is that the guy was having an affair, was cheating on his wife again, and she got upset about it, and so she took every hot spice in her cabinet and mixed it up and put it on his chicken, his fried chicken, thinking that she was going to get him back this way. And he so loved it that he went and perfected the recipe, and that's where Nashville hot chicken comes from. And then a company by the name of Hattie B's opened, and if you go to Hattie B's in Nashville, there's a line down the block for this hot chicken. But I've never had it.
well,
I hear it's good. though.
Okay.
Yeah.
alrighty then. Now
What
you
would
do
Boston pizza be? Hot dogs?
Typically now it's pub pizza.
yeah,
The standard pizza around here is the pepperoni pub pizzas.
Okay.
yeah, pepperoni pub pizza or
Thin crust.
or
crust.
yeah, bacon.
Okay.
Everything's good with bacon. So
Life is better with bacon.
right. Mr.
Except
Jeffrey,
on ice cream.
hey, Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Hey, you put some brown sugar on that bacon and stick it in the ice cream. I bet it'd be good.
I bet you it
I'm
would.
just saying.
Sounds like a porno.
Okay. Mr. Mark, any last questions for our guest?
I could geek out with Patricia on Annie forever because it's one of my favorite shows, and I know the people who made
Aw.
it and all that jazz. But because it's been a while since you voiced Peppermint Patty, you've had a chance for tons of people like us to ask you questions. What was
Yeah.
your least favorite question being asked? And you can include Annie in this if you want to. All these interviews you've done through all these years,
Everything that Jeff asked her.
some
I have to say, I said this before we started. I am an open book. If you want to know something about me, I'm going to tell you. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. And so I can't remember lies. So I don't lie.
Okay, I'll switch questions then. Collar and cups match?
Huh?
Does the carpet match the drapes?
I can't believe he went there. I cannot believe you went there.
She said she was an open book.
Well, it's funny because that was the first thing that popped into my head, but I was going to use the carpet and drapes question.
Oh my God. Oh, I apologize for this too.
So I will say they do not anymore because this actually is not my real color.
What was your
And I'm gray.
Were you a redhead originally though?
I was not a redhead originally, but if I went out into the sun, people would think that I had red hair because I had so much red highlights in my hair.
Right.
And I had this moment where my husband told me my hair was looking like shit and I was looking old because I had started to turn gray. Yeah, there's a reason we got divorced. That wasn't it, actually. So when I went in to get my hair done, I was like, you know what? Let's go wild. Let's make it red. Because it had looked so natural when I was a kid. Everybody thought I was a natural redhead when I was doing Annie, which was funny because it was a really, really bright color of red. So yeah, but now I'm gray because I'm 57 years old. Like I'm supposed to be gray.
Right.
There
So if you didn't dye your hair, everything would match.
Exactly.
Yes. There is a show business connection to that question. Actually, there was a wonderful, wonderful actress named Jean Harlow, and she bleached her hair like platinum blonde. That was her look. And the director wanted to discuss something with her in her dressing room. And he came in and opened the door, and he found her with a little toothbrush and bleaching down there. And he said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I want the collar and cuffs to match." That's where that comes from.
Nice.
So there's a real show business thing about this.
Okay.
And there you go.
All right. And I'm going to stop it there. And I'm going to go.
Yeah. Can I go eat now?
What was your last question?
I don't usually do a last question.
Oh, well, fine then.
No,
that's fine.
I let those two have their last question, and then I bring you up on the screen like I just did.
I see that.
And I say, so Patricia, where do you like interacting with your fans and friends on the social medias?
So I am mostly on Facebook. It's Patricia Patts -voice actor. I do have the others, but I tend not to be on them very often.
All righty then.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
You can find my podcast, Jeffrey Mark Plays Ella, also on various terrestrial radio stations around the country. And please tune in next week on this show because we always have someone wonderful just like Patricia. This has been a lot of fun. Hire her. Also hire her. And with that, I will say God bless and have a happy.
Thank you.
The happy what? Yeah, that was a weird little ending there. Okay, anyway, go to stilltalking.com, find out more about us, or on Facebook, Toking with the Dead. I know we got the Instagrams and we got that stuff. I don't get into that shit. I can't figure it out. I don't know, maybe it's my age. But all the links are there on the website, stilltalking.com. As far as me, good luck Googling Jeff.
Oh my. So
I mean, yeah, you're never gonna find Jeff. I mean,
no, probably not.
Nope.
But like Jeff said, just check out stilltalking.com. You'll find out everything you need to know about us. We want to thank Patricia for coming out, hanging out, telling some really cool stories that most people probably have never heard. Shit, we never heard them. You know? All her links are in the show notes up above or down below, but I can't stress enough when we have amazing people like this on, get off your couch, get off your ass, go to a con and meet them in person. It's much better.
It is much better. I agree.
It's just much better. Even if you don't buy anything, you just walk up and say, hi, I saw you on a show. I just wanted to say hello to you.
Yep. I love that just as much. I really do.
Thanks for the memories.
Right?
Thanks for the memories.
But in all seriousness, we want to thank all our veterans and first responders for doing what you do so people like us can come up here and do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We are out of here.
Thank you, guys. This was fun.
You're welcome.
So come on.